desperately to power up their cars at this Tesla supercharging station in Oak Brook. A scene mirrored with long lines and abandoned cars at scores of other charging stations around the Chicago area.
Man, this is crazy. It's a disaster. Seriously.
Oh, we got a bunch of dead robots out here.
Dead robots.
He goes on a plane trip, leaves his Tesla in the garage, and what happens to the batteries? They drain in the cold weather.
Yep.
So he goes to start his EV up, his Tesla, and there's no charge. And he's sitting in the middle of you ever run out of gas in the middle of the country? It's a nightmare. But it's like you said, Dan,
Yep.
you can go get a gallon of gasoline and save yourself. What are you going to do if you get stranded? Well, here's what happened. Here's exactly what happened to him.
You hire a gasoline-powered tow truck.
You had a diesel tow truck will come out with a diesel generator and charge your electric car. That doesn't make any sense to me. What are we missing here, boys and girls? Has America lost all their common sense, Dan? Have they lost it all?
Well, a whole bunch of them have, and that's for sure. I mean, to me, it's like, why are we trying to do Star Trek technology without having the dilithium crystals to do it with? It's. Oh man!
Oh, so that's why we have to go to outer space.
See,
What are they? What kind of crystals are they again?
Remember the dilithium crystals that ran that Starship Enterprise?
Yes.
That was you got to have those right crystals from that planet where they mined them from.
I remember. Right
cool.
past the dweebles. What were those little furry things called? I don't want to.
Oh yeah, the tribbles. Yeah.
Tribbles. See,
There
I don't know whether you're as old as I am. I grew up on Star Trek. I believed all that nonsense, all that mess. I believed in all that
Brother, I not
space
only
hogwash. Oh,
I
look
not only
who's
grew
here.
up on it. Yeah, I not only grew up on it. I was in Star Trek 5. Yeah.
Hold the phone. We're going to go to different panels here.
Cool.
Watch the magic of. I don't know what we're doing here. What are we doing here? Let's see.
Hey, is this the 50 and up club?
This is no. Don't tell anybody how old we are. That would be an awful thing.
Oh man.
I get two panels though until somebody else joins us. Introduce yourself and what do you want?
My name's Robert Moore, and I want to talk with you guys about Amway.
You probably own a Tesla, right?
No, that's okay. I prefer for my toys to be battery operated, not my vehicles.
Yeah, we technically on the books they had me teaching 16 different subjects.
I got you.
I have 9 through 12, but it's mostly about behavior and all that kind of stuff. And that what's hilarious with me is it's always an adventure. You never know what you're walking into.
Sure. Public school or private?
Yeah, public school, Western High School over here in Anaheim.
You too, Tank? Public school or private?
Public school.
Yep.
You both have infiltrated the beast. You both have infiltrated the beast.
Subversion is what I
don't use that word.
They I tell you what though, it's funny because some kids found my YouTube channel recently.
Nice.
And they're like, oh, and I said, well, look, I can't take up because of California. I can't take up class time to talk to you about that stuff. But if you ever want to stick around afterward, whatever, we can talk about things. But none of them have yet. But it's funny that one kid came to me and said just the other day, he goes, that was pretty good. I watched one of your YouTubers. I'm like, hey.
Well, that is the thing we do. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that is the thing that we do. Old guys who do have a little bit of a social media presence, you never know who's going to stumble across your stuff, which is why it's important for you, me, us, we to all have the center be firmly rooted so that things, and they all, you guys are teachers. What do these kids do? They ask questions, right?
That's right.
So at least for your two situations, they're getting, the kingdom of God in his right way first, then everything else. Correct?
Absolutely.
It's amazing because working with these kids, to them it's normal. This immersion into the techno world is absolutely normal to them. But for you, Dan and I, we grew up with Pong and Atari, and we've just gradually seen this stuff happen. And these kids, to them, their electronic world is everything. And I'm always impressed by the kids that I teach, as Dan will be out on the West Coast, who actually like to do real body contact sports and actually like to go outdoors, because the nerdism that's taking over with the kids just wanting to enter. I mean, and I talk to my students freely about these things. I look at the kids, I'm like, you need to be careful about playing on these daggum video games, because, when you've just beat the big boss at the end of level 3 and saved the world in your video game,
right,
you didn't really beat the boss at the end of level 3 and save the world. All you did was waste a few hours. And when your mom in the real world asks you to go take out the trash, that's something real. And the problem is it's difficult for these students, after you've saved the world at the end of level 3, it's hard for them to want to come back to the real world and do real mundane things. So I'm constantly telling the kids how important it is to unplug and be a part of the real world.
Absolutely.
I beheld Satan fall like lightning from heaven. It's kind of the electricity naturally it grounds there.
See what he did? See what he did there, Dan? He took that little bit and he segued it.
Yeah, Rob is very, very good at being clever like that. He'll take it and just get you right back over there.
I like that.
Yeah.
We might have to get rid of
people with higher IQs than me, like Dan Weston. I can, even though I'm not as smart as Dan, I can trick him. I convinced him when he had this really bad sinus infection to drink Amish firewater with a bunch of cayenne pepper and stuff.
Yeah, that was. If God allows him to, Satan can control that weather too. Job chapter 1, it talked about him killing Job's kids with those winds from all four corners of that house, and it attacked it at once, and the roof collapsed and killed everybody. Right. Except for that one person that ran back to tell him the bad news.
Right.
So that weather's, and then of course, you notice weather throughout the Bible. Jesus, of course, rebuking the storm.
Sure.
Rob and I were talking a few days ago about how whirlwinds took Elijah, as it were, to heaven, or at least it took him out of sight, and then used to transport Philip the evangelist around. So weather's a fascinating.
Not to mention all of
the book of Enoch. It talks about that there are storehouses of different. There's a storehouse for hail, frost, and all sorts of stuff. And Enoch was shown all of these places. Satan has just created a fantasy spiritual dark side detachment where everyone gets lost in this fake fantasy world of video games and everything else. But God is trying to get people, just as Jesus was speaking to Nicodemus, to enter into the spirit realm that you can't see with your eyes and you can't touch. But that's the path to salvation.
Amen. Well put there, Rob. Well put. I rolled past the button. This is a blessing in disguise, so we're going to go as long as we can. Let's refocus here on electric, power grids, and batteries. So anyway, I go to the kings of stupidity over at NASA. These are their numbers. Daylight on the moon, daylight, right? And by the way, let me ask you guys this too. Can there ever be a nighttime on the moon? Because if it's daytime on the moon for us, as the moon, the light, travels across the realm, it's going to be moon showing somewhere on this static breadth realm. Yes or no?
That's right.
So this little lie they're telling that, the moon goes dark. It's daylight 12 hours and then it's dark 12 hours. No, it's not. No, it is not. It can't be. What does water boil at, you two teachers?
Oh,
100 degrees Celsius, 212 degrees Fahrenheit.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Well, I went to school in the 80s. You actually had to remember stuff. Ask a high school kid what temperature water boils at. They don't know. I've asked them, and not to embarrass them, I've asked some of the kids I work with that are seniors in high school, I say, I'm not embarrassing you. I just want to know this. What's the boiling point of water? They don't know.
Oh, I've heard these conversations. Well, if you take it to the top of a mountain, it'll boil at a lesser temperature degree. So the elevations of boiling. What? Shut up. It's an easy question. Don't make it more difficult.
I know what it is on. I know what it is on Mars, but I'm not. I can't remember what it is.
Okay, to your point with these temperatures, I think what NASA's trying to get at is they're trying to describe, like, if I'm in a magic spacesuit with a motorcycle helmet on, like Neil Armstrong, and I'm facing the sun, then that portion of my body is 250, but my back, that would be negative 250. But this magic suit, they can turn, and instantaneously it can refrigerate and warm like that on a dime. One interesting thing is, do you know, Lon, who actually sewed the fabric? What company? I'll give you a hint. They're very well known for making bras for women. What company that starts with the letter P created these spacesuits?
What is Playtex for 1,000, Rob? What is Playtex?
Absolutely, and it's our daily double.
Thank you. This is my point. And to what you said, Rob, the second question, is there a space thermostat? There has to be. Yes, there has to be, because just on the ISS, the floaty-built tuna can that orbits around the ball Earth, every 45 minutes they get a sunrise, and then the next 45 minutes they get a sunset, and that temperature, if we're using moon data, goes from 250 plus, near boiling, over boiling, to 250 negative. I don't know about you boys' thermostats on a furnace and air conditioning unit. South Carolina, they don't even have furnaces, they have heat pumps, right? But here in Minnesota, you got a furnace and an air conditioner. If you had to go from those insane temperatures, what kind of thermostat does NASA have? 750 American astrophysicists that graduate every year from university. At least one of them would say, this doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Not to mention, too, did you know Japan landed on the moon yesterday? Did you know that?
Yeah, right on. I wonder if it's a better animation than the Space Invader from India.
It was worse than the Space Invader from India, because they just showed fuel gauges. And fuel gauges, and when they reached zero, they all clapped and they all cheered and said, "Hey, look, we landed. We landed on the moon." No, you didn't. When you go to the moon, you go to the South Pole, you land upside down, because we all know we live on a ball because the moon's a ball, right? And if the moon is 49 times smaller than Earth, that curvature is everywhere. Here's my little request for you two teachers. I want the moon surface curvature equation. I'm begging everybody. Because if it's 7.98 per mile squared down here, right? 8 inches per mile squared down here, what is it up on the moon?
It's somebody with AutoCAD could knock that out. It's got to be
probably like
not
24.
Quite as bad as the sound stage they filmed it on, because that dropped off at the, at about 100 meters.
Yeah. Well, my point is this, and they always talk about scale. Oh, scale's not important. It's got to be at the big scale. You can't scale things down. Well, now you don't have any choice. You don't have any option. We can all see the moon. Y'all spent since Copernicus telling us what size the moon was. But anyway, I'm rambling on here. It gets my goat to have them try to espouse this nonsense that the moon's gravity is 1/6 of the Earth, and these guys are landing upside down on the South Pole of a ball? What?
It's absurd. And if the gravity is 1/6 of the Earth, as Wagging the Moondog, you said, boys will be boys. Why don't we see some of the astronauts doing vertical leaps that would make Michael Jordan embarrassed?
Rob tells me the reason it's so warm where I'm at is because we're right over the mouth of hell out here in California.
Yeah,
Well, you are.
From hell under California.
You are. And you better live on the right side of the San Andreas Fault, too, my friend, or you're going to need a sail mast and a big piece of tarp to get you back onto the continental United States, which will be missing California. That might be the very hand of God coming down and chopping that heathen land off and dumping it.
You might look like those old pre-1700 maps where California's an island again. Look out.
Oh, boy. Well, you guys stay warm. Dan, stay away from, get on the right side of the San Andreas.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't tell you how much I appreciate both of you coming on this morning. Thank you very, very much. So God bless y'all. I'm going to go to the chat. I'll get up with both of you after this thing is over, all right?
Sounds good.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. A blessing from above. Yeah. Margaret, you like that with the two men? There were no women on the thing. Why didn't you get some girls on there, dumb, stinky men? Yeah, that's what I figured she'd say.